And the CDC now recommends all students K through 12 should wear a mask when they return to school in the fall. This is regardless whether they are vaccinated or not. And it comes as the State Board of Education met for the first time in person. WJZ live at 5 o'clock tonight. Ava-joye Burnett has more on what the board discussed today. Ava-joye.
Rick, good afternoon. There are a lot of moving parts here. Remember that children under 12 are not allowed to get the COVID-19 vaccines just yet. So when parents are getting ready to send their kids back to school this fall, they have that on their minds. They're wondering if the classrooms will be safe. School board members talked about that earlier today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome.
The Maryland State Board of Education had their first in-person meeting in several months.
Great to see people in person today.
One of their top priorities is to safely reopen schools for 5 days a week this fall. The new state superintendent of schools talked about the $1.3 billion the federal government sent in. Schools will have a lot of freedom on how they could spend that money, and that could include upgrades for better ventilation systems.
80% of the funds they have discretionary autonomy over and how they want to use it to meet their local needs. 20% of those funds need to go to address learning loss.
State education leaders also revealed since the start of the pandemic, they've received more than 12,000 pieces of correspondence. That includes old-fashioned mail and emails, and many of them were from parents.
I want to go back to school just to see new people.
When schools open this fall, thousands of students will be unvaccinated, and that's because kids under 12 are not allowed to get the vaccine just yet.
We're still trying to look and see how are we going to do it? How is the state handling it? How are they, you know, what are the protocols that they're putting in place?
COVID cases could surge this fall, and that's a concern for families who will be sending their kids out for the first time in more than a year.
I do think it's a good idea to get them back in school, but safely, of course.
Earlier today, Governor Larry Hogan reminded the public that every single school district here in the state of Maryland had the option to reopen their schools since last August, and half of them took that option. But today, in the meeting, at least one person preferred to stay virtual. Live tonight, Ava-joye Burnett for WJZ.